Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Niger- Welcome to the 24-hour Nigerian President Show, and welcome to the New Africa Magazine YouTube channel. I hope 2024 has been treating you well so far. Welcome to 2024, and Happy New Year once again. My name is Rejoice Joseph, your host for the 24-hour Nigerian President Show, and I'm bringing you another episode today with the same guest, this guest we had last week. If you missed that episode, you can check down in on our channel and you'll find the part one of today's show. Without wasting much of your time, we're just going to go straight into it, and I'm going to welcome my guest, Mr. Kavwam Pokyes. You're welcome once again to
Thank you
24-hour
very much.
Nigerian
Thank you very
President
much.
Show. Happy New Year, sir.
Same to you. How is the new year?
Fine, thank you.
Nice to
How
see.
about
Nice to see the new year. Oh, awesome! The
yes,
year is
yes,
great. We've got up on a good start. Thanks to God for that.
yeah. Thank God. We thank God for that. Welcome once again to our
Yeah.
show. You were here a week or a few weeks before Christmas, before the holidays.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
remember that our network was really horrible that day, and we just had
Yeah. It was.
yeah, to end it, and pick up again today. So please, welcome back. Thank you very much for honoring
Thank you
our
very much.
invitation the second time. Thank you.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
so
Yeah.
from the last time you were on the show to now, a lot of things have happened, obviously. But
Yeah.
before that,
Yeah.
I will need you to just quickly and briefly reintroduce yourself to those who are with us today who were not with us the last time. Just briefly reintroduce yourself for our new viewers,
All
please.
right. My name is Pokyes Kavwam. I'm the CEO of Pokyes Kavwam Limited. I run a consultancy company. We're into creative content creation. We're into capacity development, soft skills, as it has to do with helping organizations navigate through the path when they have challenges at finding the solutions to the betterment of the human element within the organization. And then we are also big on creative communications and branding for organizations. So that's what we do. I have speaking engagements in different places and for organizations where I get to train their staff members so that they can be better at what they do. So that's what I do full time. And of course, I'm a writer, I'm a poet. So those are the brief things. And I'm also into leadership at different levels. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
I remember that the last episode you were very passionate about when we asked you the flagship question of the show, which was what you would do if you were the president for 24 hours. You were very passionate about insecurity, and you talked passionately
Yeah.
about that. Anybody who's watching, if you missed that episode, please, I urge you to go back and watch it even before you watch this one, if possible.
Mhm.
So just a recap of everything we did. I'm not going to dive into deep, but I remember you were very passionate about insecurity
Mhm.
in the country at that time.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And yeah, and it is sad to
Yes.
say that nothing has changed in that
Yeah.
regard. I don't think it's
Very sad.
getting
It has
better.
actually got
Is that
worse.
right?
Mhm.
It actually got
Yes.
worse. Yes, yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, but today we just want to touch on briefly on the recent happenings in the country.
Mhm.
One of which is in regards to the Minister of Humanitarian
Mhm.
Affairs
Yeah,
and Poverty Alleviation.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought
Yes.
that up. Mhm.
Thank you. I'm sure you have this one I say fantastic. You surely have some things to
I've
tell us
been,
about
I've
that.
been, I've been crazy about. I'm waiting for the investigations to finish so I can do a long
All
piece
right,
on that.
please. The stage is yours now.
I think that's very, very sad. Honestly, it's very, very sad. I already have come up with a title of a piece I'm going to do on that as my response to it. When there is no humanity in the humanitarian side, the society goes completely gaga. It's an unfortunate situation. It is terrible. It is sad. It is unfortunate that a generation that is supposed to be writing the narrative of our country so that we can stand in the place where we are supposed to be relevant not only for Africa and become the ideal nation and be relevant at the table of global discussions. We are failing at a time we should never fail. I mean, the saddest part of it is that the monies are meant for the most vulnerable people in this country, people who are
Yeah.
consistently under all kinds of security threats, people who have lost properties, lost lives as a result of unfortunate events that have happened to them, much owing to our lack of foresight in leadership. Yet somebody has the nerve to take the monies that belong to these people as their own personal, things and all of that, and misappropriate it as they will. It's an unfortunate situation. And I am sad that it is also happening to somebody that is within our own age range, in our own generation. I
Exactly.
mean, we have
Exactly.
been criticizing the older generation, saying that they are the worst thing that has happened to Nigeria. Okay, now see an example. And this is not the first time young people are coming to power. We've had the likes of Inweke Jr. He was minister at 36 or 37, and he did commendably so well. So much that when he was contesting elections in Anambra as governor, there were no skeletons in his cupboard. There was nothing you could hold against him as a corrupt person in power. And why have we got to this situation? We have got to this situation because people actually think that they can come to power and walk away with that which belongs to the people and nothing should happen to them. People think as if power is about amassing wealth. That's the reason we never get it right, because people have already concluded that positions have become an opportunity to slice off as much as one could slice up from the national cake and have one's share from it. Because our society has lost its values, we've lost the things that matter the most. It's the reason for the likes of Better Edu coming to power and so many other people that we have seen with all of these corrupt, practices in power. So it's a sad scenario. I pray and wish that other young Nigerians are watching this and are seeing this, and then we are asking the right questions and putting forth our best possible abilities and skills to ensure that we right the wrongs. Because if we continue to criticize the people who are doing wrong, we must ensure that when it is our turn to do something for Nigeria, it should be clear from our behavior that we know what is right and we are committed to ethical values, and that we will do the right thing to ensure that we get the right results in
But,
governance.
yeah, but would you say that, considering that this person, the minister, is a youth, you know, and a woman, would you say that
Yes.
this has painted the youth coming into politics in a bad light? Would you say that?
Already, it has already put a dent on us as young people in this country. It's like saying, okay, now you were the one saying that the older generation is corrupt. See what you're doing.
Mm.
See what one of you is doing. Because to a large extent, apart from the fact that she's a woman, she's a young person, so she's somewhat representing the youth constituency in the
Yeah.
nation at the federal cabinet, and see what is coming out of that. It's an unfortunate situation. I wish this never happened. And my thinking is that normally when they scrutinize these people and screen them for ministerial appointments, they should have understood. She has been a commissioner in her state before coming to power as
Yeah.
minister, so she should have at least learnt a lot from the books. She should know what the law says. She should know what is accepted and what is not accepted. And then she came out and was defending it, that she sent this money into a private account of over 500 million naira for a project that is supposed to be for the public, and it is going into a private account. That raises a lot of
So
questions.
she
Why would
she
you ever
claims
do
she claims
something like
that
that?
she claims that the owner of the account is supposed to be the accounting officer or something in
Yeah,
charge of
she
auditing the
had those
accounts.
claims, but those claims were still not justifiable based on the provisions of the financial regulations at that level. It has to be rooted through the right accounts. You are not dealing with an individual, you are dealing with organizations who are possibly tendered for the job. And if you are sending money, it should be sent into the corporate accounts of those organizations. If they don't even have proper corporate accounts, then that also means that they are not even qualified for a job in the first place. They are not properly put together and registered for such jobs. So there are no grounds under which you should be able to send the money to a private account. It's not acceptable at all. It shows that she doesn't even understand her job in the first place. And even if she understands her jobs, it seems as if cutting corners has become acceptable in this nation. That people can do certain things with public funds and feel like they
And
can
get
get away
away
with
with
it.
it.
But kudos to the president. I am not a big supporter of Tinubu, but kudos to the president for actually
Mm.
showing that he is in control and for taking the right decision at this critical time in the emergence and the survival of our democracy, for showing her the way out. I think that was the best thing he did for suspending her in the meantime while the
Yeah.
investigation is ongoing. But then again, another thing that we need to understand again, As much as she has done bad, she's not the only person. This thing is rampant in this
She's
nation.
not the
The
only
Minister for
person.
Interior
Yes.
has some connections. He's also linked his own company, in which he was a shareholder, in which he is still a shareholder. He was a director and he said he resigned in 2019, but he's still a shareholder, which means that if the profits and the losses of the company are distributed by the end of the year, he goes home with some of it, and that 400 and something million naira is part of what he goes home with. So if the people in power can award contracts to their own companies, what do we talk about? Where is the place of justice? Where is the place of equity? Where is the place of objectivity? How are we sure that you did not consider those particular parameters before you awarded the contract to your own company? These are some of the issues that we need to look at. And apart from him, you have had several cases of corruption of several other government officials. Some of it they finally, even after the investigations, and there are glaring, compelling facts that these people were involved in all kinds of corrupt activities. They're only given a slap on the wrist and they're allowed to go home, as if nothing went wrong. And the more we continue to allow impunity in this country, the more we create a lot of problems for the community. And the worst part of this, you see, I talked a lot about insecurity in our last episode. The worst part of this is that when the people are pushed to the wall, the response is not always going to be a good one. It's going to be so, and it's not going to be, because once you have rampant hunger, when the people are frustrated again and again and again and again, it normally gives birth to a lot of things that you don't imagine. If, for instance, look at the case of Beta, if the people who are vulnerable, imagine people who have been affected by all kinds of natural hazards, who are supposed to be reached out to, and they are not reached out to, they become ready tools in the hands of miscreants, and they can be easily conscripted into all kinds of crimes, creating more problems for insecurity in the nation. Because of one person's selfishness, many more people are affected. Because of one person's selfishness, many more people will die. Because of one person's selfishness, many more people will go home go to bed without food. Because of one person's selfishness, the future of many Nigerians will not be guaranteed. Because of someone's selfishness, the dreams of young Nigerians will not see the light of day. Because of somebody's impunity in government, who takes the public funds, the hard-earned taxpayers' money, as if it is his own personal property. Many people, in fact, it is because corruption is accepted in this country. Exactly, and it's because corruption is and what we see in Beta Edu is just the slightest bit of what happens in politics in this nation, from the federal level to the state level to the local government level. Politicians have no business in this country. Exactly. Politicians have no business in this country, yet they are
network again.
And until we begin to raise some of these very important questions, a lot of things will go wrong with our society. So those are the things that I think.
Can you hear me, sir? Ooh. So are you there? Can you hear me?
Calls. Yes, I can hear you. Calls were coming in and they interrupted us. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for speaking on that. Your opinion, I think that your opinion is the opinion of almost everybody in this country at this moment concerning this case. But because of time, we're just going to move on to because today I was reading in the news that it's the same talking about misusing finances and not.
Yes.
Excuse me. Today I was reading that the federal government destroyed elephant tusks that they seized. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't. They destroyed what?
They seized elephant tusks from wildlife traffickers. Yeah, and elephant tusks is said to be worth $11 million. That's like
yes, it's very costly.
9.9 billion naira.
Billion naira. Yes, exactly.
And the federal government destroyed these items. What do you have to say about that? What do you have to say about that?
Well, I would say that's very misplaced.
I saw pictures of like bulldozers crushing the tusk to sand.
Crushing, yes, the tusk. Yes.
Yes, elephant tusk.
For me, what do you have to say? For me, I think it's a very wrong action, and that is not the only time we are having cases like this. I give you another typical example. Apart from the elephant tusk that you see destroyed, which is worth billions of naira, which there could have been so
Billions.
many other
Yes.
ways that this could be sold, or maybe the
Yes.
money, it's still public property. Whatever your reasons
Yes.
are, you should not destroy it. It's either you
Do not
sell the money
destroy
and
it.
invest the money in the economy or something else. We have seen
Yes.
situations whereby they arrest these guys who are into oil bunkering and they set the whole thing on fire. And based on some of the reports reaching us, these things I was talking to a senior military officer, and he was talking about situations whereby when you calculate what they destroy from oil bunkering in a month, you're talking about
Mm.
billions and billions of naira wasted. It's still our oil. Why can't you have
Yeah.
another way of reinvesting it back into the economy?
Mm.
Selling it or giving it to institutions of learning, it will completely reduce their overhead cost. There are so many other
Mm.
things you could have done with it apart from destroying it. But
Yes.
because we're a nation, I'm so sorry to say this, we're a nation that is not serious. It's like any action is okay. Just do it. Just do
Yes.
it. As long as the one at the top is not getting anything from it, just do it. We don't think through the things we have. We don't manage crisis. And these are some of the things we do in our own organization. We don't have anything called crisis management. We don't have critical thinking. We don't have creative problem solving. These are critical soft skills that are necessary for anybody at the helm of affairs. We have no emotional intelligence. In fact, most of the people who wind up as leaders are not supposed to have any business to do with public leadership, because they are
Yes.
ill-equipped for the positions, they are ill-equipped for the platforms that have been given and the privileges most of them are just simple political patronages who wind up in those places as a result of gross political accident. And there is nothing that has to do with merit. This is why you see things happening like this, because there would have been so many other
Probably.
alternatives that should have been considered for the betterment of
Yes.
the nation. Now, crushing it
So
and
so this
destroying, what
one.
have you gained as a result of that? You've wasted resources, you've wasted energy. In fact, the fuel you were burning while you were using that blood bulldozer could have been channeled to something more productive for the
Exactly.
good of the country. But you didn't do that. You could have thought of so many other ways. Okay, you don't want to sell it, take it to a museum. Do something else with it that would last
Yeah.
a longer time. I mean, why would you have to
Yeah. You
waste
can
that amount of money?
kind of preserve it. Mm.
Yeah, because
Kind of.
the reason is because there was no thinking about it, there was no brainstorming about it. Just whatever comes to mind, let's just do it. This is what destroys Nigeria. That we have leaders who don't even know the very first thing about leadership. They are just positional leaders. They got to the position as a result of anything that goes. So those are the reasons you see things like that happening. I'm personally completely against it, and I think that there should have been something else that should have been done so that we can channel whatever we accrue from that sale of the task or whatever we decide to do it for the betterment of society, and not to
If
destroy
you
it
were in
because
that
you feel like it
position,
was
what
stolen
would
or
you
what.
have done with that? If you were in that
Me,
position, if you yeah, in
and
that
if
position,
I were in
what would
that
you have
position,
done with it?
I would have sold it and reinvested the money into the coffers of government. I would have, but of course, very, very, very much. I would have sold it. I believe that the money could have been used for the betterment of society. Because if somebody stole that, the person stole it
The
for his
law.
own selfish interest. Just like when we
Yeah.
arrest corrupt politicians and we're able to get the money back from them, the money should be reinvested into that which that is supposed to have been for public use. But somebody wanted to take it, so now that we've got it back, we reinvest it into what it's supposed to be used for. Not to crush it, not to destroy it. It belongs to the people.
Well, finally,
So that's just
I don't. Finally, sir, because of time, I don't think it will be a show in Nigeria today if we don't briefly touch on what is going on in our religious, should I say, church industry right now, with the
yes. The,
religious,
the recent episode
yeah,
of our prophet
aspect.
Joshua. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Now, I want to say that it is usually, it has always come up every now and then
Mhm.
of religious
Yes.
leaders perpetrating some kind of, things, but people never really come out to say it.
Mhm.
One, because maybe because they are religious leaders, or
Mhm.
two, I don't know. But with this one, that this whole thing came out and there are mixed feelings. Some are saying, why is he out now that this man is dead? And some are saying, yeah, he should have been out while he was alive so he can defend himself. And some completely agree with the documentary. What do you have to say about that, especially with the fact that we know that a lot of religious leaders hide on, behind church and do a lot of things in church.
Okay.
If
First
you
of
were
all, I
if
would
you were
want
in
to
that
position. What would I have done? I mean, first of all, I would
what
want
would
to
you
say that
not exactly what would you have done about this particular case, but what would you think what do you think would be the right thing to do to kind of make it easier for people to speak up more and protect? I don't even know, but what would you do really in this? Well, what do you
I
think about
think.
this whole thing that's going on?
Okay, first of all,
Mm,
I'm a Christian and I love the Lord Jesus and I believe in what He has done for me.
yeah.
Secondly, I think that what we call religion in Nigeria is more of some sort of religious or spiritual entrepreneurship. And the spiritual
Thank you.
merchants,
Thank
otherwise
you.
called
You actually
pastors
just
or
phrased
general
it
overseers,
well.
yes,
Thanks
yes,
for phrasing
and
it
the
well.
spiritual, yes, and the spiritual merchants, otherwise called pastors or general overseers,
Mm.
understand that most Nigerians are frustrated, and a quick
Mm.
fix is something that they will jump at. So perform one miracle, and the people gravitate towards you as if you were God yourself. So
But
nobody can
Nigerians
speak
and
against you.
Africans,
Yeah,
Nigerians are quite gullible.
Africans generally, it's like we are so desperate for quick fixes that we're not
We're
ready
too
to see
gullible. That's
beyond
it.
the
We
facade.
easily fall. Mm.
Yes, we're not ready to see beyond the facade. We're not yet ready to see beyond the pretenses of most of these people who call themselves men of God. First of all, I always like to say that before anybody is a man of God, the person, again, no matter whatever you become, whatever your position is in these religious circles, you're still a human being and you're not perfect. You're fallible. You can make mistakes. People need to know those things. But many Nigerians don't want to really check it. We don't really want to consider the details of their lives. What are their backgrounds? Like the case, let me cite this. I think Rufai Oseni on Arise TV yesterday did a very wonderful, he made a very wonderful presentation when he was talking about the TB Joshua's case. He said way back in 1996, an independent investigative journalist did a very thorough job on unraveling some of these, vices of TB Joshua way back in 1996. Nobody took the man serious because he was an independent investigative journalist. He didn't have the backing, the cloud of influence, or the name that organizations like BBC would have. So nobody
For
really took
social
him
media.
serious.
For social
Yes,
media.
yes.
For
You
social
that,
media
but
statements.
until recently, when BBC, there have been news about this thing, and one of the things that they always say is that touch not my anointed and do my
Yes.
prophet no harm. But you need to understand that the anointed can make mistakes. You need to understand that the anointed is still human. You need to understand that the
But
anointed is not God.
I don't, sir, with all due respect, I think that terming this a mistake is downplaying the whole thing. I don't think this is a
No,
mistake.
no.
It's more like
The reason
yeah.
I'm saying I'm not downplaying it, it's a serious offense against humanity. It is
Mm.
wicked. It is whatever you will call it. It is the worst kind of thing that somebody could do to another human being. It's monstrous. But what we are saying is that consistently, the more we elevate these people to the level of God, the more difficult it becomes for us to checkmate them. There should be
Yeah.
checks and balances of the activities of religious, religious entrepreneurs in this country. Because a
Mhm.
lot of the things they do is for their own benefit. They are building
Yeah.
business empires, not religious organizations. It's not about the salvation of men. It's not about the betterment of society. It is about competing on the biggest cathedral in the country. It is about the
Yeah.
biggest religious gathering in the country. It's about fame. It's about being a celebrity, a spiritual celebrity. It has nothing to do with the good of the people in most cases. And TB Joshua is
Oh
one of
no.
hundreds of pastors and general overseers who are doing the same thing, but they need to be called out. And this
Mm.
can only happen when those of us in leadership are not involved in it. Because in many cases, you realize that we heat up the
We
religious
have the
affairs and the
backing.
debates of the nation when it benefits us as politicians.
Mm.
Sometimes you
Mostly we
want to
have the
pit
backing of
Christians
big
against
politicians.
Muslims or Muslims against Christians because it is to your advantage. This is the reason sometimes it is difficult to call them out. But if we stand on a neutral ground where we're objective in our analysis of what is right and what is not right, we'll call them out wherever they are. And they must
But
answer.
again,
There should be checks and balances. Government should be involved in most of these things. There should, when there is any, if anybody sounds an alarm about something going wrong in any religious organization, I think government should come on their heels and do the needful in investigating the issue so that we know what is happening. Not saying that because they're religious organizations, nobody should talk about them, nobody should checkmate them, nobody should investigate them. They should be investigated. As long as they're within the country, they are involved in everything that happens to human beings. We need to check what they're doing.
On the other side of the coin, though, I agree with you.
Mm.
They need to be investigated. There's also the victims. Can you hear me, Sam?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay, there's also the victim, and in that documentary, most of the women who came out to talk are not really Nigerians. I don't
Mm.
think there was any Nigerian there.
Yeah, there are
There's also the
Nigerians. There are Nigerians.
there are
There are
Nigerians.
Nigerians.
Okay,
There are Africans, and then there are white people. Even in those in
white
the
people.
amongst those who
Oh,
testified. And you need to know that this is not the first time these things are happening. Recently, Bill Hybels, who is the founder of the International Leadership Summit, some 2 years ago, and was involved in the same thing. The American government and independent bodies
yeah, that's just
investigated.
what I was
People
coming
like
at.
Rabbi
That's
Zacharias. Rabbi, yeah, go ahead.
exactly what I was coming at. Now these people now come out to share their story, vulnerable enough to say such
Yes,
things to the whole world, and at the end
yes.
of the day, nobody is held accountable. When it happens again, nobody will come out and put himself or herself out there for nothing to be
Mm,
done. So, but you get
mm.
what I mean by that, sir? Can you hear me?
Yes, I think it's important that, for example, like the cases I have mentioned, the people, for example, there were, no, in the case of Ravi Zacharias, the investigative report was published, and the people, the victims, were reached out, they were apologized to, and I think there were some steps that were taken to some sort of pay them back or something like that, to, I think maybe some
Yes,
monies
but
were given to them. It should be a
right
payback. There should be
now, sir,
punitive measures in the cases of these people. Like, my expectation is that the Synagogue Church of all nations should be held accountable for a lot of things, and they need to pay
that's
for
exactly
damages.
what
They
I
need
was
to pay for
driving at.
losses. Yes, they need
Yes,
to pay for
because
damages. They need to pay for losses
the perpetrator
because
is
the
dead, and
rehabilitation process of the victims will take a long time. They need to be involved in that rehabilitation process. Whatever damages that the constituted bodies for such investigation would come up with as payback for those people, I think the church needs to do it. And in every way possible, there should be
it is
serious punitive measures on the church so that it possibly his messages are banned, a lot of his properties are seized and sold and given to the victims and things like that. Certain things should be done so that nobody dares do something like that again.
mm, well,
He should be
I hope
used
I hope
as yeah, he should be used as a deterrent to others who may be involved. Because as we speak, it's not only TB Joshua. I believe there are other pastors,
yeah,
there are other general overseers who are involved in the
yeah,
same thing, but they just have not been discovered. There have been cases, and
yeah,
anytime people talk about it, they say you should not criticize the man of God. You should not say anything bad about the man of God. Why? Is he not a human being? If the person is doing something bad, the person has to be held accountable. And whatever punitive measures must be meted out, it has to be meted out so that justice prevails. And I believe that organizations like yours and several other
yeah.
civil rights organizations will have to wake up to this and fight as much as possible to ensure that the victims are not only just talking about these things, but that there are steps and measures that are taken to ensure that justice is meted out, and that others who see what happens to the victims would say, no, I wouldn't want to do something like this. That way others can speak out when there is something like that. But as long as these people speak out and we do nothing about it, nobody wants to talk about it when it is happening to them, because they just get vulnerable and they get stigmatized in the long run. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
in fact it
movement.
turns out
Yes,
to be worse than when they didn't even speak out. But now that they have
the
spoken out, I
regression
think
coming
it's
out.
important that something is done about this so that there should be some sort of payback for them. There should be some sort of rehabilitation, I don't know, or something to ensure that their being vulnerable is worth it.
It's worth it. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. That was very
You're
insightful. Thank
welcome.
you so much once again. I feel like
Yeah.
anytime I have you on here, time just flies. Before I know it, it's time already.
Yeah. Mm.
I wish the program was an hour, but no, we can't do that. So thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll
Thank you
have to
for
end here
having
because of
me.
time. Yes, I
Thank you
wish
so
you
much.
a great year, 2024.
You too. You too.
Yes, thank you so much. All right,
I'm
guys,
very
we
grateful.
have to. All right, we have to end it here because of time. It's 30 minutes like I promised you guys, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and share it, and leave your comment in the comment section. Engage invite people to come watch. You join us every Wednesday by 7 p.m. here on the New Africa Magazine channel. I'll remain your host, Rejoice, and I'll see you next week. Enjoy 2024, and I wish you a great year. Bye.